We got a good treat for you today on the Section O podcast. We have Eskimos cheer team member Sam is on the line. Sam, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you today?
Not bad. So you've been on the cheer team for a while now. When did you first sign up?
The first time I was on the team, I believe it was the 2012 season. So it's my third full season with the team. I took last year off, so.
I want to talk about that year off, but we'll get to that in a second. What spurred you to become an Eskimos cheerleader?
It was actually something that I put off for a really long time. I had been cheering for 8 years already before I joined the team. But I always looked at the Eskimos cheerleaders and I thought they were really intimidating, and I didn't think that I was going to fit in with any of the girls, so I never tried out. And then it was actually my older brother, Peter, who's on the team, who convinced me that I should just give it a shot and that the girls weren't as bad as I thought they were. And, I mean, he turned out to be right, obviously. I mean, I get along with those girls, and some of them are the best friends that I have. But, yeah, I guess I kind of owe it to Peter. I didn't think I was going to ever be an Eskimo cheerleader, but once I was there, it was something that I just fell in love with, and I'm glad I did it, obviously, or I wouldn't still be here.
What's the process like to get on the team? Walk us through, if somebody was to sign up tomorrow, what they would expect.
Well, the tryout process is different depending on whether you're trying out for the stunt team or the dancers. The dancers is actually a little bit more strenuous than the stunters. It's really laid back for us. For the most part, we all know each other already from just cheering in Edmonton. There's always a few randoms who come in, but for the most part, we all know each other. So we basically just show up and we get paired with random people, and the judges, whoever it is for that year, watches what we can do, and we go over basic stunting and show some more elite things. And then this year we learned a cheer that we had to do at the games, obviously. And so we had to do that as well, just to see whether or not we could pick up on material quickly, because that's something that we have to learn. We learned 10 different dances that you see at the games, and we learned, I think, 15 different cheers and all sorts of fun things. So we had to see whether we could pick up on the choreo. And then it's just a 2 tryout day process. And at the end of it, they post the list, and that's that.
So now you're on the team. This is your first year. You're done all the practices. You're leading up to your first game. Were you nervous your first game?
Oh, absolutely. I was terrified. I don't think I've ever been more nervous for anything. Standing, getting ready to go through the tunnel just onto the field for that opening number that we do, I was shaking everywhere. The only reason that I didn't pass out was because of the bases that I had with me, just talking me through it and being like, everything's going to be okay. It's not that bad. And nothing has ever matched it. Like, that sense of nerves that I had leading into that first game was insane.
And you're a stunter, right?
Yes.
You're not a dancer?
No, definitely not a dancer.
So you're getting thrown high in the air. This is your first game. You're already nervous going into it. Now you got to do flips and spins and whatever, 15 feet up in the air. Walk me through that. What's your process when you're upside down, traveling at 100 miles an hour, plummeting towards the ground in your first game when you were super nervous?
I actually think that as soon as everything started, the nerves disappeared, because then it's just things that you've practiced over and over again, and you've worked so hard with the guys who are throwing you that you know that they're going to catch you. You know that they're not going to put your life on the line. So I actually think that as soon as we started doing stuff, it was okay. It was the hesitation leading up to it and all the stress before anything happened that was so nerve-wracking about it. Once we started doing things, it was just like another practice.
Now, a stunter, do you keep the same spotters? What are they called, the guys that catch you?
Bases.
Bases. Do you keep the same bases throughout the year, or does it rotate?
No.
How does that work?
For the most part, we keep them the same. If there's some issue, because you need to have good chemistry with your bases, and your bases need to have good chemistry with each other. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So if there's some kind of issue there, then they'll change it up, or height differences become a problem, obviously. With the 2 bases holding you. If they're not similar heights, then one of them can't reach the other, and it gets really difficult. But for the most part, they try to keep them the same, and that all those kinks are worked out before the season starts usually. And then otherwise, the only way that it changes is if somebody has to miss a game for some reason, or if there's an injury or something like that.
Who are your bases?
This year, I have new bases, actually. So I'm with Dallas, and our side spot, so our other base is Christian.
Do you guys play practical jokes on each other?
Not actually, as far as I know. I mean, the guys have a whole different relationship with each other that it's possible they do, but I haven't had to do anything like that. The guys on the team are really ridiculous, though, so they do stupid, funny things all the time. That's what makes practices so entertaining.
What's the best rib that you've seen somebody pull on somebody else?
Oh gosh. I have no idea.
Nobody's hid somebody's shoes and they got to go out into the game bare feet, or
No, because
nobody's put rub A535 in somebody's shorts, none of that stuff?
not as far as I know. I'm trying to think of anything like that that's really happened, but mostly it's just like stupid things at practice that they'll do where it'll be, the typical, they'll have somebody on their knees behind another person and they'll go and knock them over. And it's just really funny at the moment, but nothing bad happens from it, and it's not really stressful. Everyone's already kind of wired up on game day, so I feel like playing practical jokes on game days probably wouldn't be the best thing, especially for our coaches who have to deal with all of us.
Walk me through game day from the time you arrive to the stadium, by the time you run out onto the tunnel during the player entrances. What happens?
We get to the stadium, and we have a 2-hour practice where we go over everything that we do in the game. So we do a run through of the different field dances that we do, and the fight song and the crowd involvement stuff that we go through. If we need to, we review some cheers, and then we just basically spend the rest of the time eating and getting ready and making sure that we're mentally prepared for the game. For the most part, a lot of us will take the days off work as well because it's physically exhausting. By the time the game's over, you're ready to go to bed. So mostly it's just trying to calm ourselves down and get ready for it.
You take the day off work?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
If we can.
If my boss is listening right now, if my boss listens to this podcast, every game day I want the day off work with pay. And no, I'm not on the cheer team. I want the day off work with pay because I want to drink all day, and I'm probably coming into work with a hangover. So, buddy, if you're listening, my day off request is underneath your door right now. So you took a year off the cheer team.
Yes, I did.
After the 2013 Grey Cup, what was going through your mind at your last dance routine thinking, this is my last appearance on the cheer team?
Actually, it was mine and another flyer at the time, Tasha, and also Ashley. It was all of our last season, and we finished our last dance, and we all started crying, and it was just really emotional, and we didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal because you've been mentally preparing for it since the beginning of the year. We all knew that we weren't going to be coming back, but as soon as that last moment ended, we were like, oh, this is really depressing. I, at the time, figured that was it for my cheerleading. I kind of figured that I wasn't going to be doing anything else after that, so it was a 10-year legacy that just kind of went down the drain, and I didn't really know how to feel, honestly.
At that time, you had no intentions of coming back to the cheer team? No,
I did not. I knew that it was something I kind of wanted to do, but I just didn't think that I could make the full-time commitment to it anymore, and there were other things that I wanted to do with my life instead while I'm still young.
What did you do with that year off?
I spent 6 weeks backpacking through England and Ireland. I have some family who live in Northern Ireland there, so my cousin and I spent 6 weeks just with our backpacks taking trains across Europe. It was great.
So you come back to Canada, you're working, you're doing whatever, and then just spur of the moment, you know what, I really enjoyed the camaraderie with the cheer team. I should get back into it. Is that how it went down?
Actually, I wasn't cheerleading, and I wasn't intending on trying out. But at the end of December, there was a tryout for Team Canada cheerleading. And I contacted Dallas, who I knew had been on the team in previous years, and asked whether he was going to be trying out again. And he said he didn't have a flyer for it, so he wasn't sure. So we got together and threw a few stunts and ended up making the team, which I still am just in awe by. And then we figured that doing Eskimos for another season, we both really enjoyed it, and it would be extra training time that would be great for us to improve our skills, so we did that.
Is cheerleading like riding a bike? It's just something you don't forget?
Some parts of it are. Some parts are definitely not. Even taking a few weeks off, it's hard to get back into it after that just because it's so physically demanding. So even though the knowledge is still there for a lot of things, the physical aspects of it are hard to get back into.
So let's fast forward now. It's 2015. We're a couple of weeks away from our first game. For people that aren't familiar, the cheer team goes to the Grey Cup every single year. However, you guys have to pay your own way, which is kind of offset with some fundraising. You guys have the calendars. You guys sell decks of cards. Is there anything else you guys do for fundraising to put that slush fund towards your travel expenses for the Grey Cup?
The calendars are our biggest fundraising for sure. So those usually come out in September. In previous years, we did have the cards, but I don't believe we're doing those this year. And then I think this year we have something new coming up. I'm not entirely sure what it is yet or when it will be available, unfortunately, but we are trying to do that. And then every year we have our cheer team unveiling, and that's another major fundraiser for us too. Just the ticket sales from that go to us as well.
So since we're on the topic of selling calendars, there's a story. The first time I ever met you, you were behind on calendar sales.
Yes, I was.
And I've told this story 100 times, and it never gets old. So you put on Twitter one day that I'm a little behind in calendar sales. Can anybody help me out? Section O's always been one of the biggest supporters of the cheer team. This is all volunteer. You guys juggle work, school, cheer, everything. You have to pay your own way. So we always try and help you guys where you can. So I said, okay, here, I'll help you with some calendar sales. Give me a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Where can I meet you to pick this up? While I work night shift, whenever you're off, whenever it works, come meet me in the middle of the night at this bank. And I thought nothing of it at the time. I just told this poor young lady to meet me in the middle of the night at some random bank. For people that don't understand, I work for an armored car company. You're sitting in the parking lot at this bank. You've got a guy with you and 2 dogs.
Yes.
And I roll up in this massive tank of an armored car vehicle. What's going through your mind when you see this thing pull up? I jump out, and I've got an envelope of the fundraising money that I helped you out with.
Honestly, it made a little bit more sense because I was a little confused as to why we were meeting in such a random place in the middle of the night. So once I saw you pull up in the armored truck, it was like, oh, okay, this makes sense now. He's still working. But I had prepared because I wasn't really sure how I was feeling about it before. So I had brought Chris with me, who's an Eskimo cheer team vet.
Did you bring a gun?
No, but we had his dogs with us. So, but I don't know. I was a little nervous. It was a very weird little arrangement, but it worked out for the best.
And then the year after, we had to do it again.
Yes, we did. I'm really terrible at fundraising.
I was just going to say, why do you suck so much at selling calendars?
I honestly have no idea. I feel like I do okay, and then I somehow am always just behind. I think part of it is both my brother and I are on the team, so we have to split our family sales down the middle, where a lot of people don't have to do that. And then most of my friends are cheerleaders too, so they're fundraising as well, so I can't get them to buy calendars.
So for everybody that's listening right now, I want Sam to be in first place at calendar sales so I don't get that text in the 3rd week of October. I need a mad scramble to sell these calendars. So everybody, I want you buying calendars don't buy calendars from anybody else. I want you buying calendars from Sam. And I understand the irony that I'm probably going to end up helping somebody else because Sam will be in top place. But I get it. That's what we're here for anyway.
That's okay. I'll spread the wealth.
Exactly. Just for kicks, could somebody privately donate? Like if somebody won the Lotto Max, could they just cut the cheerleaders a check?
That's a really good question. I have no idea how that all works.
Daryl Cates, if you're listening, right here. I put on Twitter before we conducted this interview if there were any questions that people wanted me to ask you. And the Esks cheer team wanted me to ask you, is it dip on 5 or shrug on 5?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Basically just different terminology for stunting. Confuses everybody every time that we say it. It's just, I don't even really know how to explain it.
This is just some inside jargon that nobody else knows.
Pretty much, yeah. If you don't understand the cheerleading, it's kind of hard to explain. It's like a prep count for whatever skill we need to do.
What do you say to people that don't think cheerleading is a sport?
Oh, mostly I get a little bit frustrated. It riles me up a little bit, but I can also understand, but because before I was doing it, I was kind of in the same mindset, but I think it's naive at this point after cheerleading has become so big. If you've witnessed it at all, I think you should just accept it for what it is.
Every year you guys go down to the Labor Day Classic in Calgary. What's your relationship like with the Stampeder cheerleaders?
We actually have a really good relationship with them. When we get there, we always meet up with them, and usually our calendars are done by then, and we do a calendar trade with another one of the athletes on that team. We usually get to know them quite well. I know that there's a little bit of tension between the two football clubs, but the cheerleaders get along great.
What is it like in the stands at Commonwealth? Do you have like the same positions every game, or do you guys just rotate around? Like, what I'm trying to get is do you see familiar faces in the crowd? Do you interact with the fans that you see on a regular basis?
Definitely, yeah. We have our individual sections that we go to when we do the fight song and the crowd involvements, and there's definitely the regulars in those sections that we get to know a little bit. It depends on the sections, though, too, because there will be certain of us who get put in the season ticket holder sections where it's the same faces every game, and then there will be some of us who get put into the other sections where it changes up constantly. But there's definitely some fans who you recognize and who you interact with.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. It was fun talking to you. We got a lot of good insight about the cheer team, a lot of information that people wouldn't know, and now they can use if they want to join the cheer team, how they can support the cheer team. What can we look forward to in 2015?
I think it's going to be a really strong season. We have some new people on the team, lots of new faces, and they're doing great. Routines are getting more and more creative, and they're lots of fun. We have a whole bunch of new cheers for you guys, so keep an eye out for that. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a great year. Now,
I'm asking for a friend. If a guy wanted to get thrown in the air and do a backflip with your bases, what waiver needs to be signed?
Oh, I think there probably is one or two of those. Again, I'm not the person to ask because I'm not the one who'd be throwing them around. But
I promise he won't sue if he gets hurt.
Then your best option is probably to just approach one of them at the game and see whether they'll do it.
There you go. There it is. Thanks, Sam, for coming out.
No problem.
Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of the Section O podcast. Rory from Section GP joins me back in studio. Rory, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, not too much. Just, 1 day closer to this season, 1 week closer.
Well, I was just at training camp today, and frick, was it ever cold. So, and the thing that I found funny is everybody jokes about Canada being, the polar tundra, and we got igloos and whatnot, and I like to see what some of these rookies were doing out in practice when they were told, yeah, come up to Canada, it's warm in June, it's +7 out, it was rainy, and these guys are used to like +35, and some of them are wearing shorts. Buddy, over by the field goal post, was all huddled up. So they probably got a whole different opinion of what they think of Canada. Like, all their stereotypes that they were taught about in school, I think, came true today in their mind.
Yeah, man, it's just our annual process of getting these American dudes used to these Canadian temperatures.
Well, I mean, Canadian winters are so brutally cold. We got off kind of easy this year in Edmonton. I don't know what it was like in Grand Prairie, but the thing I love is a couple of weeks ago, everybody's out in shorts and T-shirt because it's +8 because they're used to -30. Now it's been +25 for a couple of days here, and I'm wearing a fucking sweater. I got ski pants on, I got gloves, and I'm still shivering. So, that whole climatization. Where is global warming? Where is global warming today on a day that we needed? The Riders are playing the Eskimos in Fort Mac because we got kicked out of Commonwealth Stadium for FIFA. Do you think these Fort McMurrayites, or whatever they're called up there, can handle all these watermelon heads running around the town?
Oh, it's questionable, man. I don't even know. Like, it's too bad we're not out there. The atmosphere is going to be pretty cool. They're going to have a hard time housing or just dealing with all the CFL fandom from these people. It's going to be freaking stupid. I don't know. I kind of feel bad for them.
Well, actually, okay, speaking of Rider, this is something that I didn't want to get into, but I just have to go to it. Rider fans piss me off. Rory?
Yep.
Rider fans piss me off. And it's not cheering for the Riders that piss me off. That's not what it's about. It's these people have no sense of humor. I'll give you an example. Do you remember last year when we played the Riders at home and we shut them out?
24-0 on September 26th.
The Eskimos leading up to that game had a radio spot to promo the game, and in that radio spot they called the Rough Riders horrible human beings. That's funny. It's a joke. Wow. Guess what these Rider fans took to on Twitter? They took it seriously. Oh, how can you call us horrible human beings? What's wrong with you? You should fire the marketing guy from the Eskimos. It's like, shut up. It was fun. It sold a lot of tickets. It made the 6 o'clock news. Like, how often does a football game make top story on the 6 o'clock news leading up to it? And you want the definition of hypocrisy. You want the definition of hypocrisy from these Rider fans. A week earlier, they erect a fucking billboard outside of Commonwealth Stadium saying green is the new gold.
Yeah, these guys, it's okay for them to say whatever the fuck they want. I mean, that's just the way it is, right? That's the law. You can't wear an Eskimo jersey the way that I would wear an Eskimo jersey at Mosaic Taylor Gopher Stadium and not get totally berated and just heavily sworn at and God knows what. Physical safety might even be at risk in certain situations. Fuck it. I mean, they've done the sign thing before. We've done the sign thing. The Eskimos have had the sign thing done in Calgary, I think, multiple times now. It's a great thing to do. So what? It was an insult. Yeah, it was an insult. It's no different than what we all have to deal with in the real world in, row 3 down, on the visitor bench in Regina. Right?
Was it really that much of an insult? Like, the whole thing was laced with satirical humor.
If you take it literally, it's an insult. So they take it literally. Well, they have to take it literally, right? Because you got to turn off the tractor so you can focus on what you're trying to read.
These Rider fans are the type of people that eat Kit Kat bars without breaking them into individual pieces. They just want to live in a world where they don't have to follow the rules, but everybody else seems to have to cater to them. Another thing that kind of angers me is on Twitter, everybody's posting Rider Nations everywhere. Look, I got my Rider jersey in Scotland. I got my Rider jersey on the Great Wall of China. Buddy in a Lions jersey or buddy in a Bombers jersey doesn't get the same attention on Twitter or on Facebook or whatever.
Yep.
For bringing his CFL fandom to other parts of the world. But as soon as a Rider fan's got his jersey anywhere else other than Saskatchewan, that's, bam, top page on the CFL's Twitter feed. If you want to get everybody involved in the game, make it so that everybody else feels that they're a part of it. Don't just give me that same baloney that Rider fans are everywhere because they're the most passionate fans in the league. There are passionate fans in the league anywhere you go. Give them some props. How often do you see on Twitter somebody in a Hamilton Tiger Cats jersey at Stonehenge? No, but how many times do you see a Rough Riders jersey at Stonehenge? A billion friggin' times.
It's almost like the noteworthiness of the fandom is rich get richer and poor get poorer.
Yeah, this would have never happened in conservative Alberta. Bring back Jim Prentice.
Oh, fuck.
No, you're not a Jim Prentice, you're NDP.
I'm NWO, motherfucker.
New World Order, yeah, got the old Scott Hall, Kevin Nash.
Yeah, I'm not any of that other bullshit.
Were you WWF or did you watch WCW when you were younger?
I remember being young and kind of going back and forth a little bit. I actually enjoyed the political off-screen war that was going on, and I remember actually using the internet at the time to follow what was going on with that.
But everybody had a favorite. Were you WWF or were you NWO?
I was slightly watching the NWO just because, I was a big fan of mainly the human beings they brought over there.
CFL needs an NWO.
Yeah.
We need somebody to change the business. All right, Rory, well, it's fun having you on. Lead me into Fan Day.
All right, everybody, we're 1 week closer to this season. Let's make some noise for your Edmonton Eskimos! Grant Shaw, 35-yard field goal is good! World Health Club Eskimo football into the end zone for high school football!
Sectional booth set up at Fan Day. Jay's here. Jay, did you ever think 5 years ago when we started this that we'd have a booth set up for a podcast?
Definitely did not. Wasn't even really considering it at the time. Was just more concerned about running those stairs to Commonwealth.
How many calories do you think over the course of a season we burn grabbing beers, jumping up the stairs?
I don't know, but I mean, you're averaging at least a run down a quarter. I got Mom over there. Always got to bring her one up. But then you average that out with the flask in the backpack. So, I don't know. Let's call her 2,000.
How did you end up as the flight guy for beer? Why are you the bitch?
Well, more or less. One time had a birthday coming up for old Mom. Ran out of short on cash. Flipped her up a couple coupons that I'd run beer for her on the winter games, and well, wouldn't you know, I'm still doing it.
Now you've got the sectional buttons this year. A lot of people, surprisingly, want these things. We just had a guy come up asking when the buttons are out. What's your design plan this year?
Can't let too much slip. It's not the season opener yet. Oh no, I really liked what you did last year, where we superimposed a player over the pin. So I think
But he got hurt.
maybe he did get hurt, but I'm not saying it's the Madden box cover or anything. So maybe we'll pick someone else this year. But a little follow on what your idea was, and I think I got a good saying for the pin this year. But you'll just have to wait till the 9th to find out.
Now, for people that don't understand, the pin collection kind of started from Grey Cup. You can see many people at different Grey Cups they're just showered in pins. That's where we kind of got the idea from. What's your pin collection looking like?
It's looking pretty stellar. I did, of course, through Grey Cup, meet a wonderful guy out of Calgary, probably only one of two. And
there's wonderful guys in Calgary?
Well, maybe he's an import. But
he was born in Manitoba.
Investors Group Field, I swear. And he's got quite the collection, and as it turns out, he's a big barterer, so he always comes to me, find a section open. I can usually score 2 or 3 good rare ones off of him.
What do you say because the section opens are the best. I don't care what anybody says. What's your second best pin that you got?
Oh, I don't know. That's a rough one. I am a fan of all the Grey Cup designs, but
Baltimore Stallions?
I was thinking if I had to pick a team pin, over the years it's been the Baltimore Stallions. Pretty nice collector's item.
You found that pin in the washroom.
I did find that pin in the washroom, and the men's washroom, I might add, Matthew.
Okay. I didn't want to go into this, but since I got suckered into... I got baited into this story. So, for those of you that are wondering why Jay just said that, at the 2011 Grey Cup in Vancouver, it was Friday night, and we were off the rails, you could say.
That'd be an accurate description.
Now, the over-under of drinks that we had that night far exceeds the measurement that human science can attain to. We were at... What party was it? It was the Rider party.
I was going to say, we came from, I swear it was Hamilton, where we seen Arlan Bruce. Or no, it was Hamilton, but Arlan Bruce was playing for BC, and he had the game the next day. But I think it was Rider Nation, or Riderville, sorry.
Now, I had to go to the washroom.
Allegedly.
And I'm having to pee in the washroom, and I turn around, and there's a team of security behind me. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? I find out later that I ventured into the woman's washroom. That's how drunk I was. Now, the next day, we went back to
the convention center, I guess it just would have been. And so we're going down the escalator to the party rooms, going to get a famous...
Same security guard.
Going to get a famous Grey Cup pulled pork sandwich, the finest. And same security guard happens to walk up to say, "Hey, buddy." We're, "Oh, yeah, man, we must have seen you last night." He says, "No, that guy," points over to Matt. I said, "I see you're awake."
So Jay ribs me every time that I, quote unquote, passed out in the woman's washroom. That did not happen.
Unbiased account from security.
And that's your Grey Cup. So, we got some fans to interview. So, Mike McKenzie joins us now on the Section O podcast. You're the guy that everybody knows that shows up to the game dressed in a suit of armor. Tell us about your dress up that you bring to the game.
Yeah, it's not an entire suit per se. I basically painted breastplate and a backplate, and then I've been doing helmets this is my 3rd year making a helmet. It's really just automotive paint and a little bit of masking tape. Not a big deal.
How many hours do you dedicate to this get-up?
If I had to say with all 3 helmets, the breastplate, I would say in total maybe 12, 13 hours, something like that.
Now, do you have a different design for every year, or do you kind of go with the same, or tell me the process as to how you decide what you want to wear for what different occasion?
Well, depending on the game, I mean, if it's 30 or more, sometimes I'll leave the breastplate at home. That's a lot of steel to be lugging around on a 30-degree day in the sun. Yeah, for the most part, I mean, I don't have a set design. I'll kind of check out What I can find on eBay, Amazon, whatever. I'll find whatever design speaks to me at the moment, and then I'll just figure out what to do from there.
Everybody check it out at the football games. Mike, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
You can't miss him at the football games. He's Lord Touchdown on Twitter. Check him out. Super treat for you guys right now. We got Dave Campbell and Morley Scott, the play-by-play team for the I call them the play-by-play tag team champions. Have you guys ever had a Royal Rumble with other play-by-play guys in the league?
Well, only eating, I think.
Yeah, no, we don't see him enough to get to work up the animosity and everything, right? So we're all good friends. We're all faces.
Now, the question that people want to know, Dave, when are you going to turn heel and super kick Morley through the barbershop window?
I've come close many times, especially on the road, but I can't tell you the number of times he's probably felt the same way about me. We do really get along really well.
We have shared love and shared animosity towards each other.
Yeah.
It's all one big happy family. Dysfunctional as it may be sometimes.
Maybe it'll be like WrestleMania 10, and it'll be like brother versus brother, Owen Hart and Bret Hart when they fought. I consider Morley my brother.
And then the blow-off matches in the hotel room where we set up a big steel cage up.
Or Hell in a Cell.
Dave always goes for Hell in a Cell.
Because it's cool. You can set it up. I challenge you to a match, and it will be Hell in a Cell.
Morley?
You can't do that. It'll be Last Man Standing. That sounds so cheese, man.
Morley, your go-to match?
I'm kind of fond of the no quits, or I quit, because it goes anywhere, right? I just love those ones where just throw the rules out. Just go until somebody quits.
Rock and Mankind at Royal Rumble where he handcuffed him. It was like 27 chair shots. That you're into carnage.
No. They were steel chairs, not just chairs.
I stand corrected.
Get it right.
I stand corrected.
Right,
no kidding. Do you watch wrestling on the road?
I do, yeah.
No. Sometimes. If I'm flipping around. A lot of times, though, the hotel doesn't have the channel.
But you're really a once-a-year wrestling guy.
I'm a big WrestleMania fan for sure. I'll watch in and out during the year, but yeah. I'm at WrestleMania.
And I will try my best to stay in it from a week-to-week basis, but especially now during football season, I don't have the time.
I get updates all the time because I'm either at work with Dave or at home with my son, and both of them watch every second of wrestling that's on TV, so I get a chance to get caught up. Just have to ask the question, what's going on, and I get the storylines.
And I always know what's going on in the world of WWE.
So, last, Dave, favorite wrestler, all time?
All time, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Morley?
He's gone now. He was my favorite. He was the man who got me into wrestling, the man I first watched and thought, wow, that's pretty cool. It was when I was a young boy. He was the first high flyer. His name was Edouard Carpentier, and he's the man who trained Andre the Giant. Edouard Carpentier, the greatest of all time.
Would I be in the wrong if I said I did not know this name?
Google should be your friend. Wikipedia, the man. He is the greatest. Edouard Carpentier.
Edouard Carpentier, yes. He always talks about Edouard Carpentier when it comes to wrestling. Everywhere we go.
He's my favorite. Yeah.
Section
very first high flyer.
Section O is an Undertaker guy. All-time Undertaker. Dave, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it, O.
Morley?
Always a pleasure, my friend.
See you guys later. And that wraps up the Section O podcast from Fan Day. Episode 3 is coming up in a couple of days. Travel packages still available for the Eskimos and the Riders. Again, our bus isn't going up, but it is what it is. So check it out, guys, and we'll see you in episode 3.